Greetings, sailors, and welcome back to World of Warships after a little bit of an absence. I caught COVID after avoiding it for almost 3 years. I finally managed to catch it, so that wasn't that wasn't a particularly fun week and a half, and I'm still coughing even now. So it's gonna be a little while yet before my lungs fully recover. So if there's coughing fits during the video, I mean, if they happen, I'll try and edit them out, but that's going to be a bit harder when I'm recording this live. So yeah, COVID, not that much fun. So between that and it sort of came off a busy work week, then went down with COVID, and then the COVID's been gone now for when was the last time? I can't even remember, but I sort of did a negative test last week and that was fine, but I was still coughing an awful lot and feeling not great. So anyway, here we are, and talking of not great, yeah, that's our theme for today. I was actually semi-inspired by, I think it was last month's Prime Gaming thing, was the reward was the Genova. And I saw that and laughed, because the idea of this as being a reward is ironic, cruel, really. I don't think there's any way you would voluntarily want to play this more than once or twice. I mean, Tier 5 Italy doesn't do that well anyway, with the obvious extreme exception. All of the rest of them are either meh or, at best, okay, like the Cavour, for instance. Mistral is not terrible either, but it very didn't they nerf it? I'm sure they nerfed it. It's not quite as strong as it when it came out. The mid-tier Italian DDs were actually quite fun, and then apparently they were too fun, so they got a bit nerfed. But yeah, unlike its tech tree counterpart, the Montecuccoli, which is also not great. It has a heavy cruiser reload on its 6-inch guns, and it's only got the 8 of them. So that's pretty rubbish, but at least it has the fuel smoke to work with. And because they're small caliber guns, you can use the fuel smoke at closer range to other ships. Genova, on the other hand, which is, I think, based on a 20s design, 20s proposal, it's got the same reload as the Venezia, only with considerably fewer guns, no smoke, and the torpedoes really aren't worth talking about. They're dreadfully slow, not particularly long ranged, and they don't do a particularly high amount of damage. Yeah, this could be a tier 4, to be honest, with a 20-second reload and all the other characteristics it has. But for some reason, it's a tier 5, and they decided that they were going to give it to people so that people could suffer. It does have decent hit points for being tier 5. The concealment for a heavy cruiser 10.3 is also pretty decent, and it's got a pretty high speed of 36 knots, which usually, high speed comes with an attendantly terrible turning radius, but that at least is not too bad. But none of that is going to make up for the fact that you have a 20-second reload. 20 seconds. It's pretty horrible. At least with Venezia, the reason you have that 20-second reload is that you have a huge broadside, and you've also got the crawling smoke, and you've also got pretty good torpedoes. This does none of that. So, yeah, this is one of my least favourite ships in the game. There are other ships that are probably as bad, probably even worse than Genova. But yeah, this was one of those premiums that they put in that has just been terrible right from the start, and it was obviously purposely designed to not be very good. And yeah, they've never touched it so far as I know. So yeah, you've at least got a spotter, which is not that common a thing on a tier 5, and the base range of 14.3 is reasonable for a tier 5 cruiser. And you stack an extra 10%, 20% on that from the spotter, then yeah, you can have decent bursts of range. But 20-second reloads, and then you put that in a tier 7 match, it's downright painful. It really is. And this is actually technically a tier 7 match, but there's only a couple of tier 7s overall. So, yeah. This is not great matchmaking for me, though. I mean, this is very bottom tier. There's only, what, 3 tier 5s? Everyone else is tier 6, tier 7. So, we're going to have to be cautious. And, oh yes, there's a carrier. And it's not like this has good AA. You do have the option of a fighter in that slot, but I don't think it's worth giving up the potential extra range. Also, I'm going to have to cough now, so apologies. It's fun when I'm sat down, but I think talking is triggering it a bit, and any kind of like walking around or moving is also prone to set it off. It's not fun. It's not so bad at work though. I have gone back to work at this point because I mostly stood in front of a sink for hours at a time, and there's not that much need for strolling around the place continuously. So yeah, but sometimes I do still have to do things like go out to the shops or whatever, which is a bit of a pain. Although it's not so much of a pain as like the somehow I've avoided it in all the months up until now. I've never had to do this job before, but yeah, cracking open crab claws to extract the meat inside. Yeah, one of the chefs said, "I've got a special job for you," and oh boy. I don't know which is worse, the tedium or the time-consumingness, or the fact that, you know, you've got bits of sharp crab claw to deal with and you're constantly trying to avoid stabbing yourself, and you have to use a small sharp implement to actually dig out the crab meat as well. So that was not fun. I would quite happily not do that again, but, you know, don't really get a choice. Anyway, there's a little anecdote of being a KP. Sometimes you have to do fiddly, annoying food prep things. Oh, it's a Westeros, right. That's absolutely not good, because although we have SAP shells, we really we don't have the rate of fire. We just don't. Might as well try and put the torps out, but no, they've turned away already. As you can see, it's, you know, 2 launchers, but it's only 2 torps per launcher. And they are so slow. They are so very, very slow. And they're not even slow and particularly long ranged. If they were like slow but 12, 13 kilometers or something, you know, that would be a range like that would be pretty novel at tier 5, but no. 8 kilometers is, I guess, not terrible for tier 5. It's just they're very slow. They're like 51 knots. And I don't know if that's even with the benefit of the captain skill. I don't think I do have that captain skill on Sansonetti. So the one and only advantage of this being a premium as versus the standard ship is, of course, it's a lot easier to slot Sansonetti in there and get the benefit potentially of his special abilities, but getting enough hits to fire off one of his abilities is going to be hard. What was it? 2 kills gets you a bit of extra range. That one might work out, but I'm sure there's one of his abilities that's like get 100 hits. It's like that's really going to be quite difficult with this ship. Anyway, that Congo is running away. We could chase them down. The Ark Royal's down there as well, but I don't want to be away from my allies, especially. This is not really a go-it-alone ship by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, the Gneisenau and the Colorado are facing off down there. Kind of looks like the Colorado might be getting charged. And, you know, possibly torpedoed, which is what I'd be trying to do. That Colorado doesn't look like they're in a good spot. It's hard to run away in a Colorado. Yeah, there we go. They just expired. Right, so, I don't know, keep trying to hound that Congo, I suppose. The Ark Royal, I don't know when that was spotted down there. I'm guessing that was by our carrier, maybe. perhaps I could try and help cap the middle, although that's going to be tricky with a carrier buzzing planes around the place. Probably the mobility, like the responsiveness of this is easily its best feature. It doesn't have too many best features, or good features generally. It's a good platform in terms of its mobility. It's just not in terms of actually doing damage or, you know, causing anybody anything other than minor annoyance. That's an Andrea Doria, and oh, that's, yeah, okay. I kind of had to turn here, and that was about as painful as expected. Yeah, I really didn't want to go chasing down there, so it kind of meant turning, and it's fine. It was only half my hit points, only. Right, where are you going, Weimar? We at least now have a quicker reload. That's one way. You know, lose half your more than half your hit points, and 2.5 second reduction on my reload. That feels really worth it. Really, really worth it. Yeah. So it's just bad. It's just bad, and I don't really even know why I particularly needed to take this out to remind people that it's bad. But hey, sometimes people enjoy watching me suffering, so there you go. We're going to take that out. I quite managed to, alas, avoid that. We're kind of on our last legs at this point. I don't even know who's possibly the too long is looking at me. It's an Akatsuki, okay. Right, we've got torpedoes out, but we're about to die. We died to the Akatsuki. That's just kind of sad. Yeah, we appear to be losing this one, and really in a ship like a Genova on your bottom tier, there's nothing you can do about it. There really isn't. Oh, no dice with those torpedoes. Oh well. They're so slow that they're not exactly hard to dodge. Anyway, I think we'll skip ahead to the score screen. Welp, as expected, yeah, not great. Somehow I managed to be halfway up the team list with not exactly a lot of damage, but anyway, we'll give it another go, because pain and suffering is funny, apparently. At least Sam seems to think so. There were moments when, I mean, like the first couple of days after I got sick, and I didn't yet know it was COVID, but I just thought it was a really, really bad cold. There were moments when I contemplated trying to bribe Sam to just, like, hold a pillow over my face. And for a large enough bribe, he probably would have considered it. Although, on the other hand, he would have had to then deal with the fact that the human with opposable thumbs wasn't there to open his food anymore, so he may still have decided to prolong my suffering either way, just on the basis of, you know, it would be the more reliable way to get fed. But he still would have actively considered it. He would have thought about smothering me in my sleep, I'm sure. And probably does anyway. Right, so another tier 7 game, this time standard. Standard Two Brothers. It's not fantastic, but we'll see how it goes. More tier 5s this time. Also more destroyers and submarine. It's a bit more cruiser and destroyer centric, so that might not be a bad thing, but of course the 2 tier 7 battleships can still do very bad things to me. Koenig, if I'm angled, might not be so bad, but broadside, yeah, could be very nasty. Talking of tier 5s, that sort of reminded me of, like, way back in the day. Koenig was actually one of the most effective tier 5 battleships, the tech tree ones anyway, just because it had pretty good accuracy, and because it had a smaller caliber, it had like, I think it still does actually have a pretty good reload. And it was really, really good for smacking cruisers around, but I think they nerfed the accuracy a bit. Well, that's going way back. I don't even know how many patches ago that would have been. Certainly several years at this point. But then, you know, how long has Genova been in the game with basically no buffs? At least I think it's been no buffs. I don't recall it getting buffed, unless it slipped by in some patch notes somewhere, but certainly the reload has never changed. That's been 20 seconds from the very first it was introduced. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, Genova, because I think this was like the precursor to the. It was one of the premiums they put with the Italian cruiser. Oh, ouch! My bike here off, and you know, normally you would think, okay, they at least surely would make it somewhat attractive, but no. No, one of those ships that's just bad by design. And, I mean, maybe they had the thought it would be funny to make people play it? Maybe someone was just feeling really cruel the day they came up with Genova? I don't know. It's not like I've even got hydro to work with. You know, there's no anything I can do against that cruiser that destroyer that's ahead of me right now. I can, you know, try and dump torpedoes into their smoke, but yeah, the chances of actually getting anything out of that probably not particularly high. And it's actually the Königsberg's hydro that forced them out of that smoke, so you know they could do something about it. Also, did our sub ram their sub and survive? I think that's what happened. Right, let's try and put some torps out. See if anything comes of that. We don't have that much here. That's okay. That's what was there. Yeah, it's the König. That's the biggest guns. Although Graf Spey's 11-inch guns, you know, they could still be pretty nasty. But I don't particularly want to press forwards here. I certainly don't want to be ahead of our Nagato that much. And I think our Nagato is actually currently reversing. Yes, you are. Okay. I know Nagato is kind of squashy, but it's versus a König. It's not that scary if you're in a Nagato. Or at least I would have said not that scary. Right. That's going to be the one spotting me, so that's fine. Our Königsberg's being quite bold. I mean, they might get away with it. Graf Spey has also got a long reload, but it has a reason to have a long reload. It's got 11-inch guns, as opposed to 8-inch guns. In fact, does Graf Spey have... What is Graf Spey's reload? Is it 20 seconds or so? It's around 20 seconds. I would certainly rather play Graf Spey than this thing any day of the week. It's got hydro, it's got a heal, it's got much better torpedoes, and it's maybe not, you know, the greatest tier 6 cruiser, but it can be effective and it can be interesting to play. Genova not so much. I would be quite happy if this... Are we going forwards now? Yes, but barely. Okay. Come on, Nagato, you can do it. You can find that forwards gear. You're not that slow. Oh, I didn't even... Like, our Rook is just charging ahead there. Okay. I didn't even notice that. I guess they speed boosted with the intention of... Well, I mean, again, tier 7 versus tier 5, and Rook's kind of squashy also, but it's got torpedoes, it's got the speed boost. I got a bit fixated on the Nagato and didn't even realise the Rook was being that aggressive. I think we're going to win this one. This seems about as one-sided as the last game. Yay! Got a kill. Oh, it's only one kill for main battery range. Okay. For some reason I thought it was 2. Right, well, we should get the chance to fire at some more things, but I don't think we're going to get that much more damage. They didn't even, I mean, they could have given it high explosive, but it's got the SAP. You can't even set fires. I think the only chance you have do you even have secondary guns on this? Barely. I think you just barely have secondary guns. What is the secondary gun range even? 4.3? Yeah. So your chances of setting fires are very, very minimal. So you're not going to get the ticking damage. So for some reason, even though they decided that, well, it's 20s design, so it's not going to be like the main tech tree designs, except it's still going to have SAP shells. So they kind of gave it the downsides of the main branch without the upside of having the fuel smoke or longer range torpedoes. It's just, it's a ship that was designed to be bad. It was designed to be bad, and, well, they succeeded in making the thing bad. So well done, Wargaming. And give me the Krasny Krim any day of the week over this thing. It might not be that much more effective, but oh boy, it's certainly a lot more fun to play. We might actually break our damage from last time. That'll be something. Yeah, the Rook's taking all the attention right now, but I don't know if that's going to last versus those two tier 7s. Down on the ground. Okay, that's awkward. Okay, let's stop firing and stealth up. And hope that we have enough time with the Rook dying that they don't then manage to get off a shot at me. The Nagato still being awfully shy and awfully slow. You are not that slow, Nagato. It's what, 26 knots? 25 knots? I mean, it's not fast, but, you know, there's no way they're going full speed. Absolutely no way. Right, I kind of have to hold fire here until I know that they're... Right, because the Colorado's fired at somebody. The Nagato's guns are firing, looking the other way, so... Yeah, this is the kind of thing you have to be looking out for. You just can't keep firing and try and take advantage of your very slow rate of fire to still keep firing as often as possible. No, you can't do that. Sometimes you just have to stealth up and not fire because there's a tier 7 battleship looking at you because it thinks you're easy meat. Which I am! Because I'm in a rubbish ship. Right, fortunately, those all missed. Oh, wow. That Nagato got nuked by our Nagato. Okay, well, they at least know how to land a shot, even if they are being excessively cautious. Will we break 40k damage? Who knows? You'll have noticed I've been mostly using the SAP. There's very little use in the AP shells. Like, there are times when you're going to get to use them, but because the reload is so long that it really discourages switching up shell types. It honestly would have been better off with SAP and HE as a thing. Combat Scout! What? How? What? What? Okay, if you could see me right now, it would be, you know, visible confusion. I don't understand that, but okay. 20% of the total base HP of all enemy ships. I don't... What? Oh, hello, Samuel. Meow. Meow. You've chosen good timing. I'm just about to finish. Meow. We were just talking about you earlier and how I was thinking of getting you to smother me in my sleep. Because my lungs kept trying to escape and it wasn't very much fun. Yes! But, you know, he's far too lovely to contemplate such a thing. Aren't you, Samuel? Yeah. That's why he didn't do it. It's definitely not the, you know, cutting off his access to treats or cat food that would have entailed. No, it was purely because he just loves me so much. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it was a win. I did more damage, but still crap. The only reason I didn't die there is because I got kind of lucky with some of those battleship salvos and the salvos from the Graf Spee. I couldn't remember the name there. Anyway, I mean, the armor is not even that good. It's got 70mm belt, which is not completely terrible, but it's a 13mm end plating. Yeah, it's not going to really stop that much. So, yeah. Also, we were going to look at... because I couldn't remember. Talking of the Graf Spee, what is the Graf Spee's reload? It's also 20 seconds. Okay, yes, exactly 20 seconds. 100mm bigger guns, but it's the same reload as the Graf Spee. I don't know. You know, between that and the wonkiness of Italian battleship dispersion, I just... Did the entire dev team have a really bad experience on holiday in Italy at some point? Who knows? Anyway, Graf Spee, not bad. Entertaining to play. Genova, not so much. It's rubbish. Don't ever buy it. And even if you get it for free, it's probably worth more just to sell it for the credits. Unless you're me and, you know, you keep it so that you can suffer for other people's entertainment. Yep. Anyway, I hopefully will be back to a more normal video schedule now that I'm not trying to cough my lungs up on a regular basis, or not quite so much a regular basis. And yeah, hopefully you're all doing well as well, because I have kind of missed the community aspect of video stuff. It wasn't much fun just being stuck in the house, not being able to go out, and not even getting whatever socialization I get at work, much less, you know, online. It was a bit dull. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, you can do all the usual things down underneath it. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.